Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing 7 Swans Swimming, and we're 7 puzzles away from Christmas Day. Hope you guys are enjoying the series. Today was played to almost like a fusion of 12 Days of Christmas with Swan Lake. I felt like a bit, as subtle as a brick really. But hopefully you guys get to enjoy it, and we get to look at another fabulous puzzle I'm absolutely certain of. Let's take a look at what we have in store for today. So, 7 Swans Swimming by Willpower. You can definitely see kind of the swan in here with an eye, maybe a beak with that white KROPKI dot. Of course, the reference to the number 7 here at the top. And then lots and lots of different clues that we're going to need to figure out. So, to help us figure out, let's take a look at the rule sets that we have in store for today. So, normal Sudoku rules apply, so that means place the digits 1 to 9 in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box, without any repeats, of course. Now, unusually, this, I'm going to call it blue, purple, lilac line is actually a Dutch whisper line. So Dutch whisper numbers on the blue lines are at least 4 apart from their neighbor on the line. Now you're going to remember that means that if this is a 2, for example, this is going to have to be 6, 7, 8, or 9 to be 4 apart. The thing to watch out for if you're familiar with German whispers is you can actually have a 5. So you can do something like 9 and 1, clearly not with the 12 cage, but it gets you the idea that it doesn't necessarily always oscillate from high to low digits and then back to high. You can actually have 5s on Dutch whispers, and therefore it can be a bit of a trap if you're not careful. KROPKI pairs, we've got numbers with a white dot between them. They are consecutive. So, for example, if this is a 2, the 2 surrounding cells have to be 1 and 3. Essentially doing a 1, 2, 3 run or a 3, 2, 1 run. Well, 3, 2, 1 run. The idea is that it's got to be consecutive with the 2. If that was a 2 and that was a 4, I've broken the puzzle because it's no longer consecutive with the 2. We do also have black dots, which have to be in a 2 to 1 ratio. So I can place a 2 in here, and that could be a 1, literally in a 2 to 1 ratio. But as long as one cell is the double of the other, such as a 4 and a 2, you're going to be fine. Now, not all possible dots are given. 2 and 1 here are fine, 2 and 4 here are fine. The fact that there isn't a black dot between this or a white dot between here is not a problem. Lastly, we have numbers in cages summed to the number in the top left corner of the cage. So, for example, if we pick this 9 cage here, and that was a 2, this cell would actually have to be a 7 to make sure that together these two cells, outlined by this dashed line, have to sum up to the top left corner, in which case is a 9. So 2 plus 7, 9. Well, that's all the rules. Most of you are going to be familiar with this, particularly from this series. So if you feel like swimming with a few swans in a lake, that thumbnail very much is kind of a summary of many of the alpine lakes that we've seen on our recent road trip to Europe. So no reason to not go swimming in there, other than the fact that it's freezing right now. Link in the description down below for you to play along as usual. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. I hit the restart button a bit too early because I really haven't got a clue where to start. So I'm looking at sort of box 4, and the fact that all of these have a column of white KROPKI dots. You've seen in my example that if I put a 2 in here, these would have to be 1 and 3. But essentially what I'm seeing is I have 1, 2, 3 in one column, 4, 5, 6 in another column, and then 7, 8, 9 in another column. Now, the 7, 8, 9, because of the fact that there is a black KROPKI dot here, and if you see, if I put the 7, 8, and 9 anywhere, the two extremities would have to be 7 or 9. And they don't work on black KROPKI dots. So the only place 7, 8, and 9 can actually go in this box is on the left-hand column of this. Then essentially I have a 1, 2, 3, and a 4, 5, 6. And I need something at the bottom that is joining them with a black KROPKI dot. And the thing is, the only way I think I can do this is the following. And I'm just trying to figure out if I'm missing anything else, because this digit will be 1 or 3, and the other digit will be 4 and 6. And the 4 clearly cannot be a double of the 1, but the 3 and the 6 can. So I feel like this is actually fixed. And I'm going to go with it. That's a whole bunch of digits. I wasn't actually expecting this to be the break-in, by the way. That's a whole bunch of digits. And that's a 6. And remember, that's on a Dutch whisper line. So this is going to be 1 or 2. 10 cages, 8 cages. Cages in general on Dutch whisper lines are more useful than you may think. So, for example, an 8 cage can have 1 and 7, 2 and 6. But today, on a Dutch whisper line, it can't have 3 and 5 because they're only 2 away. 3 and 5 doesn't work. 2 and 6 barely works. But that's not really where I'm going to look next. I'm more tempted to think about this. I've got 11, 12, and 13 that together add up to 36, leaving me with 9 in here. And I know that 9, sorry, I say 9 because I did mention as part of Sudoku rules, every box has the digits 1 to 9. You add them all up, you get to 45. These 3 cages, adding up the 13, the 12, and the 11 gets me to 36. And then the difference between 45 and 36 is in here, which is 9. Now, 9 can be done in many ways, but one of the ways that it could be done is 2, 3, 4, which I know this isn't. And the reason I know that is if the 1 isn't in this side, then I have to place the 1 in one of these cages. And even if I put it in the 11 cages, smallest of them, that means the leftover digit is a 10. So this is not a 2, 3, 4 run of 9. This is definitely got a 1. And then the options after that is 2, 6, and 3, 5. 2, 6, and 3, 5. Can I figure this out? I'm kind of tempted to sort of keep pushing this. I mean, frankly, because nothing else is sort of catching my attention, so I may as well. So 13 on a Dutch whisper. I think 9, 4 works. They're 5 apart. But I don't think anything else will. That's kind of my suspicion. Because 8, 5 is too close. So that is 9, 4. That 4 down here gives us the order. That's 9, that's 4. I'm not going to label this because, again, remember the trick with a 9 is it can actually have a 5. So this could be 1, 2, 3, or 5. That's a lot of options. But I'm wondering, as I'm sort of going through the options here, am I restricting the options for the 12 and 11 cage? And it may be that I do actually need this. So 1, 2, 3, 5. If this is a 5, I can have 9, which I can't, or 1, which I can't. So it kind of can't be a 5, and therefore we're back to a high digit that is 4 or more away from whatever's in here, which frankly could be anything, 6 or 9. This is 7 or 8. If it's 8, it can't be. I would need another 4 in here. So that's a 7, that's a 5. The incredible thing is it's using up all the digits that doesn't actually help me figure out what this 9 is. Because it was either 1, 2, and 6, which still can be. Actually, 1, 3, 5 is gone. So this is now 1, 2, 6. And I'm left with 3 and 8, which it is. And the 7 tells me that this is the 3. That's the 8, because it needs to be 4 away on the Dutch line. To be 4 away on the Dutch line, actually all of 1, 2, 3 actually works. So no real revelations there. Continuing to finish these columns now, which I can do. This is from, 3, 4, 5. This is 7 and 9, I'm going to say. And if I look at the 12 cage, the 7 has to go with a 5, which it can. The 9 can go with a 3, which it can. No 4s, though. If that's a 7, that would be a 5, that would be a 3. I'm actually going to remove that. If that's a 7, that'll be 5. That'll be 3, because that's the only digit from 3, 4, 5 that can be next to the 7. And that would be 4. So that's one option. If that's 9, that would be 3. And then these could be 4 or 5. So that's 4 or 5. 3 is definitely in one of these two. Hasn't really helped, if I'm honest. What else do we have in here? We need another, well, we've got a low digit that we need to place in here. It is the other 1, 2. And then we have a high digit, which is the 8, which we can just place now. Should I just, I mean, I've been very fixated since I took a look at box 2, and I'm sure there are probably other options in here. So, for example, 14 cage, now that 5, 9 is eliminated, this is 6, 8. The 9 cage, I mean, it can still be, well, I mean, that's not a 6. So there's essentially like a virtual 1, 2 between it, because if this is 1, this will be 2, 3, 4. If this is 2, this will have to be 1. If this is a 1, 2, 6 is not available, and 3, 5 is not available. So this is, in fact, 2, 3, 4. This is a 1. This is the 9. These are not 1 anymore. This doesn't change. The 15 isn't a 6, 9, 15 cage. This is a 7, 8. And then I need a whole bunch of other digits, which I'm not going to pencil mark. Yeah, I'm not going to pencil mark. I mean, it's sort of tempting because we've got a Dutch Whisper line and the black KROPKI dot. So, I mean, there are a few restrictions. And we know this is not 2, 4, or 8. Technically, it probably can be 6. And then the other possibility is 1. That's the only remaining black KROPKI dots that we have. Let me just think that through. Is that true? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. That is correct. And that would force it to be a 2 or a 3, both of which are available. And that 2 or a 3, so if that's 1, that's 2, that doesn't work, because that 1 has to be 4 or more away from whatever this digit is, which would have to be contiguous with the 2. And that's impossible. So I think that forces this to be a 6, a 3. This now could be 2 or 4. It clearly has to be the 2 to be valid on the Dutch Whisper line. And then we've kind of resolved it, surprisingly. That 6 gives me the 2, the 6. You know, it's like very subtle clues that if you just work your way through, you can essentially still solve it. And I think that's the part that just surprises me. So we know we need a 9 down here. What have we got left in this cage? Is it 1, 5, 9? So that's 1, 5. That's 1, 5, 9 with a definite 9. On the 6, this has to be the 1, surely. 5 is too close. 9 is too close. That gives me a 5. That gives me a 9. That's box 3 largely done. This is now a run of 1, 2, 3. And this is now a, well, I can't say it's a run, but it's 4, 5, 7. Slow, steady progress. This has to be a high digit, which can include a 5, by the way. I've kind of mentioned that the 8 cages are probably restricted and then did nothing with it the entire time. So maybe I should think about that now. So 8 cages could be 1, 7. Could be 2, 6. Not sure it really helps me, if I'm honest. It probably will if I think about what this digit is. This could be a 5, possible, or any other high digit, which would be 6, 7, or 8, not the 9, because we've already got that in the column. Let's think this through. So whatever this is, whether it's 5 or a high digit, this would either be a 9, which it isn't, or a low digit, which it has to be. It's got to be the 1, the 7. This can be, well, a whole bunch of options still. 5, 6, and 8 are still available. That 1 is eliminated from here, and that 7 is eliminated. 10 cage is probably next for me to think about. Well, actually, hang on, 6. It's an easy one. That's 5, 9 because it can't be 6, 8 anymore because that 6 is staring at it. Tempted to think about the 10 cage. I'm just going to park it for now and just, yeah, this 10 cage is probably the easier of the two for now. Let's think about it. This has to be low next to the 7, and it can be from 1, 2, and 3, no higher. To make this add up to 10, this has to be 7, 8, or 9. No real useful information there. I mean, the 7 gives me another 1, 2, 3, except it's not a 1. And I end up with a triplet here. And I'm just trying to think this one through. How useful is that? Not quite. Almost. Not quite. And you know, I'm sort of checking for things like, is 5 forced in this column? And you can see there are not many places where 5 could be, except in these 3. And then I thought the same thing about 9s. And again, there's a couple of places. So there is a triplet. It's not a very helpful triplet, if I'm honest. The 2, 3 tells me this has to be a high digit. That is at least 4 or more away. That could be 6, 7, or 8, I'm going to say. Not 8 because of that, and not 9 because of this. This 6, 7 tells me this is 2 or 3, and then it gives me a 2, 3 in the column. Very strange things happening here that I'm not entirely sure I get. This is 6 or 7. This could be another 2, 3. Depending on if this is a 7, this could be 3. If this is a 6, this is forced to be a 2. It can't be a 6. Because what would I surround it with, given the 1 is not available? That's a 7. That's a 2. That's a 2, 3 now, staring at a 2, 3, 4. That's a 4. That's a 2. That's a 3. That 2 gives me the 3 up here. These are not 3s. That's not a 2. That's not an 8. 9, 1 works. 3, 7 still works. And that is not resolved. Okay. So what is not in the 8 cage is an 8. Because if I put an 8 in here, I'd need a double 1. However, I'm pretty sure I need a high digit. Because if I just use 1, a 2, 3, and a 4, I'm not going to get anywhere near a 10. So I think the answer is there is definitely a 6 in here, plus a 2 or a 3. If it's a 3, then it'll be a 1. If it's a 2, it'll be a second 2, which is impossible. So that's 6, 1 with a 3 and a 2. And this is now a 4, 8. And actually, I know the order because of this 8. That's 8. That's 4. That 7 has been staring at that 8, 7 for a while. Not that it's necessarily helping me progress beyond just filling it. That 6 tells me the 1 and the 6. We can actually complete this now. We need a 1 and a 7. In here we need a 4 and 8. And the 8 gives me the order. And in there I need, what do I need? 5, 9, 5, 6, and 9. And yeah, not a lot of information about this one. So 5, 6, 9, let's just tidy it up. 5, 6. And that's, well, that 7 is staring at that 9. That's probably there for a long time. I placed that a while ago, which gives me the 5, not 5, a 6, 9 pair that's not resolved. A 5, 6, 8 that's just been there the entire time. So is that really 4, 5, 6, 8? And I don't seem to be able to eliminate much here. On a Dutch Whisper line, it can't be 4, it can't be 5, it can't be 6. Still all too close to the 3, so that is an 8. The 3 is staring down there. That gives me the 5, the 7, which I remember was fixing all of this. Yep. 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 That fixes a whole bunch of things. That 2 gives me the 1, the 3, the 7. 7. The 2. Does that 3 help me? Not the 7. Kind of. Gives me this 7. This is not an 8 anymore. And this is just known. It is a 5, which gives me the 6, the 4, the 5. Pretty much on the home stretch now. High, low, high. That looks correct. We need a high digit, which is not 6, 7, or 8. It is a 9. And then to complete the row, it is 4, which also works. We need a 1 and a 6, not resolved. It's kind of interesting. I'm just Sudoku now left to resolve all of this. Okay. We need a 4 in here and something else. 2. Which gives me the 1, the 2, the 1, the 6. Yeah, that's basically pretty much done. That 6 was there to give me the 9 and the 6. How are we doing? 17 minutes. I need 8, 5 and 8. That's 5, that's 8. And then I need 3 and 9. That's 3. And if I've not made any mistakes, 9 and the solution to today's puzzle. Another beautiful puzzle, Will. It's an immensely enjoyable countdown. I didn't actually sort of read too many of the comments or even looked at the rating of the puzzle. You know, I've kind of committed to essentially running through all of them at this point. So I haven't been doing my usual due diligence about kind of scanning each of the puzzles and seeing if it's worthwhile actually featuring or not. Probably not something that I would do with many constructors, but I'm reasonably confident they're all going to be phenomenal. And there's yet another one. Thank you very much, Will. Hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle as much as I did and the video. And see you back for the next one. Bye for now.